busu bubom and esibo. So more information about on the decision of the Court of Appeal in the Sedina Tamakloe. And the more the information I get, the more I'm surprised by the ruling of the Court of Appeal. It said then Attorney General can. So this video is answering your question. What does acquitted and discharged mean? I think that because of my surprise, I couldn't do this education for me. And lawyers akasa perspective. And I always say this caveat. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just someone who loves the law, someone who loves to ask questions. I mean, answer question I'm out. And then Attorney General can. Acquitted and discharged, and no. What is the next option? Attorney General, if they are minded to prosecute on the back of corruption, what can they do? And I'm there, bro, in this video. To make sure, so best subscriber, most subscriber, no click the notification. The video be to who you have a comment, feel free, leave that comment in the comment section. We are make sure so be Goldberry Construction Limited. That episode sin was assassin krata some the documentations related to your house in Goldberry. It be this age money na Ediama. We are obrin pomba ho. Addiction related issue, trauma related issue, aged care, covering Pombo Besho, and BBA come. We all know the Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged Madam Sedina Tamakloe. Question about mostly amongst among folks then Attorney General. Mostly in these cases, the Attorney General normally, based on what the lawyers are telling me, mostly very harsh what they said. Now, what the Attorney General said, I have the written statements, some of them, element of that, but I cannot put it public. But what I can tell you that they mostly went to the court or responded to the appeal of Sedina Tamakloe on 4 grounds. Me catch yourself of filing appeal, the day after she was convicted in 2024 by written statements and by Brian Attionu Bedu Ghana. So when you look at the written statement now, it was filed based on the court document. The date in the on the 12th of June, is it 5 or 6? 2026. 12, I think June. Official date now, I cannot see it, or by 2026, so 2 years after. Now, Attorney General argument said the charges were legal. Charging the board of Fusobi were legal. The prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. Say almost prosecution, they proved the case beyond reasonable doubt. Let's not forget that the case traveled from MPP to NDC. The trial judge properly evaluated the evidence. Some say if you say was able to trans no properly evaluate evidence. No, the trial in absentia was lawful since Sedina Tamakloe dwane ye na no nchese wo dwane am yentimi ni wase betime di wasem. Sedina Tamakloe so lawyer akasa after the verdict. I want us to go and listen to the lawyer. No, Meba, I'll give you more information.
Thank you very much. You are live on Joy News. What would be your preliminary, statement following this particular decision by the court?
Well, thank you. First off, let me seize the opportunity to thank my lords for the erudite judgment they have given. So, yes, as you may already know, the judgment will be ready by close of today. And so, we would all pick it up and then read it. And then we can do thorough, discussion on SIM. However, the crux of what Milord said today is that in fact Sedina, my client, is indeed acquitted and discharged, and that the charge sheet which founded the allegations against her were defective, and so same could not have as it were founded the whole process or the entire process. Once the foundation was weak, then everything that follows will fall.
So let me understand this better. When you say the foundation of the charges were weak, what exactly do you mean? In fact, in your arguments, you said that the charges were fundamentally defective. Explain to me in simple words, what does this mean?
So the reason I'm going to refrain from doing that because I want to see the reasoning of Milos, whether they, as it were, agreed with me entirely. Or, perhaps they also had some issues, so that we don't miseducate the public. So, we can speak on this maybe subsequently. I'm just applying for the judgment because, like you heard, Milo said it will be ready, today. So I'm applying for same. Once I pick it, we can always have thorough discussions on it.
The court said your client has been acquitted and discharged.
That's right.
What's the arrangement? Is he going to be out of prison today?
So, I mean, we'll have to take the necessary steps and then bring the judgment to the attention of the Republic. Yeah. And then she'll be released from prison.
So based on the step, when do you think that should be out of prison?
So, like I just said, we've just applied. In fact, we are applying for the copy, a certified copy, and then we'll take the necessary steps. So, I mean, you know, from my end, I mean, I would wish that she's even out now. But of course, you know, these things, I mean, there are procedural steps to take. So we'll ensure that we do everything today and then as much as possible before the week ends. I mean, we anticipate that she should be out.
You have been very close to this, to Sedina. What was going through her mind ahead of this judgment today?
Oh, I mean, of course, I mean, you know, in matters like this, I mean, she's always been prayerful. She's a person of faith, so she's always been prayerful, and she's always, I mean, been convinced that, I mean, once the Court of Appeal, I mean, went into the matters, I mean, she will be set free. So, I mean, this a victory for the rule of law.
Yes. So that's Sedina Tamakloe, lawyer in the matter. Now, what this means is that the Attorney General has an option. But what I find more interesting is this. The Sedina Tamakloe case, and she was acquitted and discharged. Boom. Acquitted and discharged. You can't be a discharge. A lot of one catch them said there are mostly 4 grounds. Or say a person who is discharged is released from current proceedings, but does not necessarily mean they have not been found guilty. A discharge may occur when the prosecution withdraws the case, there's a procedural defect, the court lacks jurisdiction, the proceedings cannot continue for some reason. Ebia new charges abanti ya discharge o ni asancho. Ebetimi esi. Ebia court no dia some jurisdiction. For example, a high court cannot decide on constitutional matter. That is the principle of the Supreme Court in Article 132. So that is also there. So these things can lead to a discharge. Now, yeba acquittal. Acquittal is finding that the prosecution has failed to prove the accused guilt beyond reasonable doubt, or the law requires a verdict of not guilty. Now, generally, the accused cannot be tried again for the same offense because of the constitutional protection against double jeopardy. So if you are acquitted of a charge, you cannot be charged again. Double jeopardy in law. What is here? Say you are acquitted for a charge, you cannot be charged again because of double jeopardy. That is it. And I make her say, a very, very weird. It do kai ato forcing ambulance case na every the justice akwa kabo afo. And Joseph Mensah here, you know. Godfrey Dame then said that he will go to the Supreme Court for a review. So now the option for the Attorney General and say appeal to the Supreme Court. The AG can go to the Supreme Court and say that the appeal court made an error, and therefore there need to be a review of the decision. So that is one thing that they can do. Now, when it comes to retrial of the accused, generally no, once a person has been acquitted and discharged after an appellate court has finally determined the case, the constitutional protection against double jeopardy ordinarily prevents another prosecution for the same offenses. The prosecution cannot simply file the same charges again because it disagrees with the outcome. So until there's a new charge B, Sedina Tamakloe on the 78 charges cannot be charged for the same offense. It will be a jeopardy, double jeopardy, and it's against the law. Even globally, it's done. So the only thing is that the Supreme Court can review the decision on the appeals court and say that no, the appeals court was wrong, the 10-year sentence suffices, or the appeals court was wrong, they varied the prison term some way, somehow. But if the Supreme Court doesn't agree with the appeals court, the Attorney General cannot go back and say that they are coming back to charge Sedina Tamakloe. That is what is interesting in this matter. So therefore, the only option available to the state is not fresh prosecution. Is to go to the Supreme Court to review the decision of the appeals court. And I doubt, and see, my surprise is a 3-0. That to force engage, can I'm just no create simple scene because what's my hot ambulance? My boy ambulance car. Company no ambulance, I would have ambulance, my most and papa, mimi tiaka. Me tues kanama na 2.3 million euros. Me tuya 1.5 million. Mimi agent na rich japa. It was a 2-1. That was a close one. But in this trial, for a 3-0 decision, I've not seen the ruling, as I keep saying. But despite the ruling, you see, the reason why even the ruling, some will say that because it means that the arguments they made by Sedina Tamakloe, the court agrees. All the 3 judges, all of them agreed. You know, so that really means that literally they've agreed with the points that they've raised. That the state couldn't adduce enough evidence. So much man be a the caution statement, for example, 500,000 or so, no, sign, yes, signature, so the burden of proof shift to the state. The state should have done more to properly establish that indeed the signature was either signed by or not signed by. If it was not signed by, who signed the signature? All these matters, you know, literally, all the appellate causes, court agreed. So these are the options available to the states. You know, the justice system. No? I'm not surprised by the way people are expressing shock at the ruling. No? And as I said in the video, the political ramifications for the NDC to suffer. Yes, it will give people impetus to say a lot of things. And for me, one of the things I agree with, or I've come to believe, is that thank you. Resources to double. Ask me can say ya ruling aba. Ruling, you know, make us say ruling, you know, aba. So ruling, you know, aba. So that's basically it. So I think that the political ramification there, the NDC will suffer that you come, but the NDC is not the court, and certain Mama is not the court. But it's interestingly, say Akufo-Addo was not the court. So he come back to confirm certain of say that the perception of politics is strong, and the perception of the court and how the court rules, you know, has a certain bearing on the politics and the optics of politics. So yes, you are entitled to say you do like Mama and Yegma ECG. Akufo-Addo so Yegma ECG. You to because Mama is not the court, Akufo-Addo is also not the court. But the perception of the court holds strong or holds sway on the politics of the day. That is why Kandapa warned as national security minister. Google and read that speech. Say the way the court was ruling when NPP was a problem. Why will he say that? Is the court is a Akufo-Addo the court? Akufo-Addo was not case, but no. Is Mama stating on the case? No. But it gives credence what I'm saying, that for a national security minister to say that tells you that how well the court rules on matters and the reasons they adduce in their ruling has a certain bearing on the perception of the independence of the judiciary vis-a-vis the relationship between the executive of the day and the judiciary. So it is very, very important. So let nobody come and neighborhood wink anybody. There's a very strong perception there. And it's for the NDC to suffer the ramifications of it, if any. So that is that. But me, my surprise is all the 3 appellate causes. And this is the next option for the Attorney General. As to whether the Attorney General should go to the Supreme, I think so. I think they should review the matters. Because as we speak, you know, you see, the Sedina Tamakloe case, for me, the point is that if you feel strongly that you had a case, you see, it's circumstantial, it's not law. This is not law. But why do you run? You just say to say, aboniki. Me kota aboniki ye 2 cedis. Enti ni you. Ana me tro 5 cedis. Enti me kota on 5 cedi no. Ebia, adie bi kura na ma me kota on 5 cedi. Na yesi be bua me ho ano. 1. Ubusa permission. Yes, state na kase ma tu kwan na wo dwane yo. Wo na ebia wo mu na ebia wo dwane yo. Ana state no. Kana for. Koye na ebia tumi ama agency bi edi dwuma. Say oh, ko na bra. Minia. Since 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 9 years. Me see we in law, where me view. I'm not talking about law here in this instance. What will make someone do that? And what will make the person suddenly come when a government he previously served in comes back to power? That is where people will have the problem. And that is why I talk about the optics of the politics. That is why to me a MPP and it can happen because this government came and they also filed nullity prosecuted some of the cases, including Sagleme. So what I say? So that is the issue. That's why I always said I'm happy to force him to that route to acquit and discharge himself. Kesa de be as hard than that Collins Adams can be better so. Because he has presidential ambitions. In can be better so. So let nobody make it seem as if so my man and he nipa kruye MPP tan yanka one of them then cannot cre. The optics of it, the law people have said, I've just received the ruling. There's a 90 something page ruling. I have to go through everything and come and share with you. But until that, even with that, it means that whatever agreement, whatever grounds the lawyers raise, they agree. Oh. Interesting. But the country we live in, and I've expressed my disagreement, but I think that in also criticizing the courts, let's be careful. It's the only bastion we have. We are not entitled to agree with them always. They are the laws. Me menya lawyer ni madwen na mechere na me read him ran so the amount na me cheche mza na meti ase. No makoye mbra. No me mbra ni inform na de o masi bench na no. And someone was asking me about I have all the information about the judges. One is even a prominent chief. But I'm not at liberty to go into those matters. I don't think it's necessary. Maybe view no. What do you think? Share your view in the comment section. You are not subscribed. I'm subscribed now. Click here on notification. The video be at my home. No, it's my share. Make sure to show say them me here. Ghana see here. Bye bye.